If you're tired of relationship games, take a walk with me. I want you to know that you're not alone, and a lot of people feel this way. It's also not isolated to one particular generation. It goes from Gen Z through Gen X. And if you dive into the comments section, you'll see things like, I'm old school and I just want to date one person at a time. A commenter from Gen Z said, I just don't understand his intentions and it makes me feel anxious. While others say, I feel like I'm wasting my time and that I should just give up. I'm fine if something comes my way, but I'm just not going to try anymore. I'm tired of the pursuit and the pull away. But I have a question for you. If they pulled away, can you not take that personally and see that they did you a favor? That their uncertainty and misaligned intentions have absolutely nothing to do with you? And you find yourself so angry and resentful at this point that you're saying things like, don't even come into my life if you intend to play games. But that mindset and way of thinking ends up becoming a barrier to new relationships. You now have a firm belief that people no longer believe in loyalty or faithfulness. You may even find yourself making videos about how bad it is in your particular area for dating, which, if you live in the country, I can totally understand. I get it. But a good question to ask yourself is, what are your goals, values, and standards for a relationship with you? What are your intentions for getting into a relationship to begin with? Do you see relationships as a means to get your needs met? Who are you as an individual person, and what kind of life have you created for yourself outside of a relationship? And I'm not blaming you, but these are questions that we can begin to ask ourselves so that we can know ourselves a little bit better. Do you have the ability to meet your own needs physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? And are you growing in those areas? Or do you find yourself saying, I just want somebody to make me happy? I'll be happy when I'm in this particular relationship or this particular job. And if you're a I'll be happy when person, you're never going to be happy. You're giving all your power and control away to things that are external to you, that are outside of you. And happiness is one of those things that you create as you cultivate self-love, self-esteem, self-compassion, self-acceptance, self-confidence. It's also important to try to understand the type of language that you use to describe not only your present relationship, but all of your past relationships. And you'll find yourself saying things like all, always, most, never. You'll only ever accept what you think that you deserve. So if you find yourself dating a particular type of person all the time with a different face, this is where we need to take a little bit of ownership. And I want you to know that it's not your fault. We tend to live in the patterns that we experienced when we were younger well into adulthood, unless there's some sort of significant change physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, or financially. But it's rarely just one of those things, it's usually a combination thereof. But again, I want you to know I'm not blaming you for anything. So many of you have built a life that you absolutely love and that you're proud of. And it can be really hard to understand why we invite certain people into our lives to share in that. And you'll be confused because you worked really hard to get where you're at, but the people in your life don't seem to appreciate the effort that you've put in. And that's a single example of a particular pattern that I see in my comments section all the time. And you can walk around with blame and resentment on your heart, but you'll only ever continue to get more of what you don't want. You have to start asking yourself, what are my limiting beliefs that I carry with me? Am I too young, too old, too much, or not enough? Have you ever just taken the time to be single and to work on building yourself up? To learn how to stop negotiating with yourself? To learn how to find joy in the day-to-day? Can you allow everything that you've learned up until now, up until this point, to be a lesson that you can learn, grow, expand, and become different? That you can teach yourself the skills that you missed when you were a teenager and young adult? Because for so many of you, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You just missed out on some skills that have left you a little emotionally immature. But the real question is, how much more time are you going to spend playing small? Beating yourself down and telling yourself every day all the things that you don't deserve? Take some time and explore this. What would it look like for you to tell yourself what you do deserve? How would that feel? What would that look like for you? You see, we've gotten really good at telling people everything that's wrong with them. But what if we started displaying a little more love, guidance, and support? What if all those things that you've been wishing for from another person, you started giving to yourself? It's one of the most painful and difficult things you'll ever do, is to be able to see yourself for who you really are. It's why inner child healing is so important. You can let that little version of you that's deep inside that tries to still protect you as an adult, let them know that you've got it covered from here. And when you can do all that and you put that level of effort into yourself, you're going to realize very quickly that the types of relationships that you have change. And all those old limiting statements that you used to make about every relationship you've ever been in, you won't make them anymore. And it's all because you started to learn your goals, values, and standards for a relationship with you. You learned how to set boundaries and say no to the things that aren't for you. And that can look like saying no to a relationship that hits all your preferences, checks almost every box. But you learn to honor your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and to trust your discernment. You took the time to talk out what concerned you with the other person and came to the conclusion that that's not the relationship for you. It's hard work, and it's difficult, and you're never too old to start doing it. It's time to not only know who you are, but accept it.